Welcome to the Southern U Podcast, brought to you by Darden Archery on the OKest Podcast Network, with your co-host, Matt Brock, Jeremy Ferguson, and Taylor McMurtry. If you're looking for all things land-related in the Southeast, you came to the right place. Whether it's real estate, habitat, wildlife, or just being outdoors, this is the place for you. Welcome to the Southern U.
Kidding. Welcome, guys, to this week's episode.
He still couldn't get it right. Taylor, where you at?
Welcome to the Southern U Podcast.
There you go.
Yes.
See, I told you to do it right. All right. Hey, guys, welcome to the Southern U Podcast. We're joined by a very special guest today. We don't know where he went.
Where is he?
But no, this is Mr. Dylan Reese, and we recently had a site visit on his place, and he reached out and said, hey, guys, bought a piece of property, and I want you to come take a look at it and tell me what you can do to help me turn it into what I'm looking for. And we went out there today and spent quite a while goofing off more than anything.
Telling stories.
We're just yapping.
There was a lot more hanging out than there was consulting. But that's because there wasn't a lot of acres to consult, but there's a lot of acres to hang out on.
Absolutely, yeah. You can only do
and you're already
so much.
kind of in a good spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we are too. Excited to work with you. Anyway, hope you guys have been listening. If you don't know anything about Southern U, we talk all things land, whether it be hunting, fishing, outdoor-related activities, real estate, agriculture, you name it. But today, we're just going to have a roundabout, I guess.
Yeah, talk about management for small properties or micro properties.
All right. Apparently, Taylor is not on the screen.
Yeah, stick your head out there and wave at everybody.
He's in the background with no mic.
There he is. I'm Taylor today.
There you go. Well, hey, you got big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're just going to talk about managing smaller properties. And what we mean by smaller properties is, for a lot of areas in the country, 60 acres is a lot of land to own. But from the perspective of a wild critter, being a turkey or a whitetail deer, it's not a lot of acreage. So, we're going to talk about a few things that you can do on smaller acreages to enhance the place, to increase opportunity for usage by certain species, and, just I don't know exactly what that's going to look like quite yet. It'll evolve as we go.
And some pitfalls to avoid.
Oh, absolutely, and there's several. But, as we were meeting with Dylan, one of the first things I told him was I would like to know and see, at least look at some aerial photography and see what's around you, because it's going to help me make decisions on your property if I know what's lacking around. If there's bedding cover lacking around you, we want to increase bedding cover on your property. If there's food lacking around you, increase the food availability. A lot of the place has the same age, timber, and composition all around you, so we're going to do a few things there that are going to increase your opportunities for getting deer to bed on your property, getting turkeys to utilize that property for nesting, brood rearing, and hopefully shooting the old tom.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, I bought the property, and I was like, I bought it a couple weeks before turkey season started, so I'm like, you're kind of by, and even though I know that with the correct management, I can get turkeys there one day, but I bought it in hopes that we'll have turkeys this year. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing a little bit of stuff that's like, very encouraging about that. So, whether I get a turkey on it this year or if it takes a year or two to get them there, I'm just excited about one day being able to harvest my bird on my property after I put in the work.
Yeah, and we've discussed that over and over on this podcast about how rewarding it is as a landowner to take something off of your place, where you have been managing, you've had your hand in it. You know, you get to see the difference that you make, and to reap that reward. And I've stated on here multiple times, I think, I'm more excited to kill a 130-inch deer on my place in Alabama than a 190-inch deer in Kansas. You know, and, you know, we had a comment from a listener that's like, yeah, but nobody cares about your 130. You know, 200-inch deer draw a lot of attention. Well,
we care.
I'm not doing it for you. I'm sorry, but I'm not.
That's right.
You know, I don't harvest deer to post up so everybody can say, ooh, look what Matt Brock killed. You know, it's for me.
But also, like around here, a 130-inch deer gets posted on processors' pages.
Oh,
that's a good deer.
A really good
130-inch deer is a fine deer.
Absolutely.
That's a good deer, and that's something to be proud of.
Absolutely it
and
is.
that's something, you know, I'm still chasing. Of course, I would love to kill a booner, but I would love to kill just a good 130 inches. That's something I'm still chasing. So,
Well, and I think that's something that's so important to all of us also as land managers and land agents and stuff like that, is just getting you to where you can have that moment. So you can, it can all come full circle, and you can say, all right, we did a good job.
Absolutely.
And I'm proud of the work that we've done.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I'm so just looking forward to just having my own piece. I've you know, hunted family stuff, and I've been in clubs and where other people have a say. And me and my brother are on the same page when it comes to things like this. I got off the phone with him a while ago after we walked the property. He's super excited about everything. He's excited to get the report back. Like me and him are on the same page about everything. And I think that's so important when trying to grow a piece of property into what you want it to be.
No question.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's the downfall of many hunting clubs, you know, Southern style hunting clubs, is having too many people with input.
Yes.
Yep. Too many different ideas.
We've said on here many times, the only long-term successful properties we've ever been around that were hunting club format were dictatorships.
Yeah. I was in one of those, and one of a great family friend was the leader of that, but that's how it needed to be run.
That's right.
Like it needed that person, and I, you know, I was real young then, and I mean, I was not to where I needed to be that person.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, and if it was a whole club that I was over, I still couldn't be that person. I'm just not there. But just to have my own property, and me and Ethan just be able to run that together.
I like
Together.
it. Together.
Together.
That's it. That's right.
Yeah. Then yeah, that's what it's all about.
And, you know, we've discussed also just recently the importance of cooperatives, where, you know, you and your neighbors get together and you discuss what your management objectives are and work together toward a common goal, rather than everybody being on different pages.
Right.
And with small landowners, that is very important. Very important.
Yeah, the more you work together, the more successful you're going to be when it comes to small land ownership. I mean, my place is a perfect example. We don't have many deer where we're at in Marshall County, and the one thing that we've tried to get our neighbors on board with, because our recruitment rates are so low and our deer density is so low, you know, it sounds counterintuitive because we're preaching shooting, you know, older bucks is healthier for the herd. Man, I don't care, as long as it's bucks, they can shoot them spikes or whatever. Please don't shoot our does, because we don't have enough to produce any babies. Yeah.
Wow.
Completely
you hardly
different deer
see
herd
that.
over there.
Oh, yeah. Like, I keep cameras out year-round on my place, and we've got 86 acres there on where we live, and I can identify every single deer on there, and there's 5.
Really?
Is that not depressing?
And this is like a year-to-year thing. Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
is-
That's the most he's ever
That's the
had.
most I've ever had, is be able to identify 5 individuals.
Are you hunting on an island?
Might as well be.
you're on one of them islands at Gunnersville.
That's it. Oh, you know what's
Pretty
funny?
much.
If you went to one of the islands in the lake, there'd be more deer. Absolutely, there'd be more deer on a 2-acre island.
Do you have turkeys?
Nope.
What
I found
what's
the-
the property for?
Why do you have it?
Yeah, cattle.
Oh yeah.
So
big-
we
big cow guy.
cattle farm too. But yeah, it's just our part of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. You can go. 20, 30 minutes and you can get into some good deer populations. Turkey, you're going to have to drive an hour in every direction.
Really?
There is one pocket that in Marshall County that's got a good turkey population.
Aside from
And
that,
I'm just not going to say where.
you're
Yeah,
gonna
absolutely.
have
Keep
to,
that one to yourself.
Yeah, locals know, but,
Yeah.
other folks don't. So.
aside from that, you're gonna have to go to Jackson, Madison.
Wow. I guess I didn't know that. Now you can go in your backyard and catch an 8-pound bass
Yes.
pretty
Yep.
easily.
Yeah, I can see Gunnersville Lake, so I can go down
Yeah.
there and catch some bass. But
Yeah.
deer and turkey, it is not.
All the deer at the state park eating gummy bears.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
And
Which-
cheese balls.
which is crazy
Yeah.
because where I grew up, where Dad still lives, it's I think 4.7 miles to the Gunnersville State Park as the crow flies. I don't know that I've never seen a deer there. The first sign of any deer that we've ever seen was this past year. My dad run over a shed putting out fertilizer.
Stud too.
Hush.
A stud.
Hush. Don't say that out loud on here.
it was a spike.
It was a spike.
Several spikes put together.
Have you ever seen a buttonhead shed?
Oh yeah.
Did you see that the
We've
other
got
day?
some.
I've found a couple.
Well,
Really?
We shot a deer.
Yes.
I don't know who shot the deer, but we were throwing it up in the truck when we worked for Game and Fish doing reproductive surveys. And a buttonhead, they get shot occasionally. And it got shot, and when we threw it up in the truck, the buttons fell off on the tailgate.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. They look like pebbles.
They do.
Like shed hunters are not gonna find them.
No.
I saw where Jeff Lindsay from the Lindsay Way.
Yeah.
He put it on. He put it on Facebook. The
Oh,
other day.
there it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Look at that.
That's awesome.
They found that while out shed hunting.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, other than the ones that we popped off in the back of the truck, I think I have found one
Yeah,
in the
that's
Edgeville
what
food
I've
plot
never
before.
found.
Yeah.
and it was literally just stumbling upon standing somewhere just kicking rocks, and I was like, is that bone? That is very tiny bone, but that is bone.
I've never found one out in the field other than that one that popped off, but now I find a lot of spikes. How many did we have the other day? Me and Kobe found. I think
Y'all found quite a few.
3 or 4 spikes.
Yeah.
A lot of spikes still have them on their head right now. I've been still
Yeah.
getting them on camera.
Yeah, I've noticed that the when season ended, about 5 to 10% of the deer had shed. Now it's closer to about 50.
And it's
Here we
looking
are.
like the older ones are dropping.
Yeah,
Just
finally.
from what I've seen,
Yeah.
the younger bucks are still holding on
A
to
little
their
bit,
antlers.
a little bit older one. He dropped one on between March 1st and March 2nd, but I quit running cameras for deer then too, and started focusing on
They
turkeys.
seem to be just steadily falling off. We were out there on the client's place where we found all those sheds the other day. I think we found 5 or 6 in one afternoon. And Kobe went back, my nephew went back the next day to start working on some of those fields and found another one in the field that we just picked others up in.
Wow.
So they're just constantly dropping right now.
Yeah, I'm not really getting any rack bucks on camera right now, even passing through, so they're probably all shedded over there at the house.
Yeah.
Well, Dylan, I want to ask you a question. So, what process did you follow when you decided to start looking for a property? Like, what did you just like? Hey, Shelby, I think I want to buy my own place.
So, me and Shelby, we've always wanted our own place, to build a house on one day. Raise the kids. Yeah, if they want to build, be able to build on that same property, and just that's how I grew up, right next to cousins and all that. So, we've always wanted that place, but then this year, I was in the woods and I was like almost fed up with not leases hardly ever come open if you don't hear about them and you don't get on them. And I'm not that big into hunting clubs anymore. Just, it's like you said, it needs a dictatorship to run. If you don't agree, then, you're just,
Yep.
lack of better word, screwed. So, we sat down towards the end of deer season. I was like, Shelby, I will have somewhere to hunt next year, other than my family land. I grew up on 40 acres, and about 20-something of that is not lived on, and that is thicket. So that's the kind of hunting I've
Not
had to
very
do.
huntable land.
No,
Yeah.
not fun hunting. I mean, you're just hunting the edge of thicket.
Yeah.
So, which we've killed good deer on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's just not what I wanted for my hunting season to be, was sitting in the same stand.
Over and over.
Only when the wind is right can I go hunting. You know what I mean? And I wanted just to be able to switch it up and have options. So about as soon as I said that, a buddy of mine said, hey, so-and-so's over there said they're thinking about selling their place, and they said I thought about buying it. I'm not going to buy it. Said you should go look at it. So I went over there, almost want it to look good, but at the same time almost not. Like,
Right.
I hate spending money. We've been over this today.
Yeah, we figured that out about old Dylan.
It's not my favorite hobby.
Yeah.
And so I went over there, and I went over there. I went with my brother just to have someone to look at it with me. And I was like, maybe it's not, maybe it's too thick or something. Just talk myself out of it. Well, I get over there, and I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing. Well, I get down the logging roads, and I'm stepping on scrapes and seeing rubs, and I'm like itching. I went at the wrong time.
Yep.
If you didn't want to buy property, you didn't want to be on the property because you could see everything. It's like
Yep.
God was like, here you go, boy. This
Yep.
is
This is yours.
This is yours. So I'm walking with my brother. My brother was not interested in going in with me on this property. He wasn't there to buy property.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's looking at this thing. He's liking it too. And I was like, man, Ethan, I guess if you go in with me, we could go ahead and get this. I wasn't using him to buy it, but like it helps justify.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It does.
When you have someone you love and you grew up with, and that are on the same page with you, and you go in together and able to raise your kids together, like hunting on this property. So, everything lined up perfectly, and it was the perfect amount of property for us to do that to start off with. And just, it has the house place on it that we're able to remodel. Plus,
That was a cool feature.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, and I wish I should have took y'all in there and been able to see how everything is now, the before. But it's really interesting property. Like and as content creators, like it's very pleasing to the eye when you see something like that.
There's
where
so many options there.
there's unlimited content.
Yep.
And we're excited to be able to share, just how, just all the different characteristics this property has that are interesting. So,
Be fun to show the process.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah. So, you can catch it on my channel. I'm a selfless plug. I have a brand new channel that just came out when you're watching this, and this, a lot of people know me from Shelby and Dylan, but this is going to be more of a Dylan thing.
This is going to be me.
Yeah. It's my show. Flying solo.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love this property because obviously you got it for the hunting aspect, but having the home place and the option for the dove field to introduce your kids to hunting, and then I'm not going to give too many specifics away just for privacy reasons, but there's so much out there like that. As a parent, I would be like, okay, I love having this to teach my kids about all of this
and
stuff.
That's was kind of the best selling point was to me and my brother. We both have children. We both have 2 each right now, and this is something that we want to do is keep our kids in the woods, teach them like we were taught, and that's just how we want it to happen. And I mean, y'all are going to get to see a bunch of today's consult on footage that we got on footage too. So,
Which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it's always fun to work in Tennessee.
It felt like it didn't today.
Yeah.
Keep everybody on their toes.
We're in
right.
southeast Alabama today.
Bunch of liars on here.
Can't let too much out of the bag.
No, you sure can't. Not today.
I got one for you.
All right, let's go, Taylor.
So, in consulting, not just this property where we're at today, but many other places similar to it in the southeast that are smaller, what's the first thing you do as a consultant when you show up to a property? Like, what's the step number one is what?
Okay, so Taylor, if you can't hear Taylor, he asked what's the first thing we do when we show up to consult with a small acreage client. Now, I hate to use this, but it depends.
You don't hate to
You
use
don't
it.
hate it.
Well, I know
It
that's the
is.
standard answer on the Southern
Yes.
U podcast, but it depends.
It does
so
depend.
a lot of times I try to feel that individual out before I get there and see if they may have any unreasonable expectations. Because as a small landowner, if you go into it thinking, hey, man, these guys are going to show up and I'm going to be killing 140 and 50-inch deer every year and I'm going to have 2 or 3 turkeys to kill on this place every year and, you know, my kids are going to have all these wonderful opportunities, we may have to dial that back initially and say, hey, if you had, you know, 1,000 acres, that would be an achievable objective. But since you've got 60, 100, or whatever the case may be, let's look at what you got and try to figure out what your neighbors are doing, and then we'll see what's actually going to be achievable in this situation. So, you know, that's why I think it's important to look at neighboring properties and see, you know, what kind of habitat surrounds you, and good communication too. I know, like, you know, you haven't had an opportunity to meet very many of your neighbors over there. I would say in the next few months, initiate those conversations and just find out what's going on.
Yeah, and that's something that you know, we just want to do just to be neighborly.
That's exactly right.
And you know, we just acquired the property and we've been out of town, and my brother, and as soon as we both get a good chance, we're gonna you know, just go meet everyone, let them know, hey, we got the property, we don't live back there, we'd appreciate y'all looking out, you know, the roadways, people coming in and out, and
Right.
and you know, we just want you to know that y'all have good ethical neighbors, and then just
And building
kinda
those
build a
relationships
relationship with them.
it's important.
I see
Very
it.
important. Y'all got anything to add to that?
Well, do you,
Go ahead.
Not too fast.
Okay. All I was going to say is that's why it's so important to do these site visits and to put boots on the ground, because when you get out there, I'm also looking around at, like, okay, is the entire understory choked out by privet? Like, is this even going to benefit from a fire if we don't do a timber thinning first? Like, so you get the landowner's objectives and then you kind of assess everything you're working with, because you can't just come into every single property and say, burn it. I know you want to.
Oh, he does.
That's the first thing he said today, wasn't it?
It is.
He's like,
Burn
oh,
it.
you could burn this right now.
Yeah.
And we
I think I
could.
saw him like getting his lighter, trying to
Yes,
get his flint
yes.
to work.
Yeah.
We've done a lake, or you know, a pond building site visit, and he wants to burn those too.
No, that's not. That's a
It's
lie.
just-
That's a lie. It's a lie, people. Come on.
Burn it.
Hey, you
Burn it is the answer to a lot of the world's problems.
Was it an
It
answer to
is.
my problem today?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Your place is
Yes.
ready for fire.
It's
Yeah.
ready. It's
Yeah.
ripe for the picking.
It is.
There's just a lot of
Yes.
places that they don't realize, yeah, we could run a fire through it, but until you do a timber thinning, until you get some sunlight on the canopy, all it's going to do
Sunlight
is
on the canopy.
sun-
through the canopy.
through the canopy.
Sorry, Bray.
Hey, you
But-
want me to just whop him with the cord?
use it.
Sorry. She's had a hard time with words today.
That's why they put me right here, by
have.
the way, was to split these
It's
two
a
up.
buffer.
Yeah.
But until you get sunlight on the ground through the canopy, any fire that you do is just going to be one of those feel-good burns where you're just
Exactly.
cleaning
That's
up leaf litter on the ground and you're not actually. And that's what I've tried to warn people before, that I have just come in straight to burn, that I, didn't really participate in consults. It's kind of like, okay, I know you're doing your reading and you're listening to your podcast, and I don't want you to be surprised if you don't get this lush understory after this fire, because it's just not going to happen until you're willing to do these other things first.
Right. You're not going to get the full benefit for wildlife until you have sunlight reaching the forest floor. And, you know, hey, fuel reduction burns are beneficial.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yep.
those are considered. You know, you're just reducing the amount of fuel in the at the floor ground, dadgummit.
That was
contagious.
the quickest karma that
And good Lord.
And for me, of course, I try to find out the same things Matt does ahead of time, you know, through looking at either aerial photos, talking to the landowner, looking at fresh maps, pictures, whatever. But a lot of times what I have found going into, I mean, this isn't even just small properties, it's all of them, is a lot of time you really kind of have to do damage control with some of these newer landowners because in this age of information, they can get answers to any question they have. They may be right, they may be wrong. And a lot of folks have implemented incorrect practices practices at the incorrect time, and they've set themselves back.
Right.
So I really try to get a handle on what's been going on in the past with the property and what the game plan is moving forward, and seeing if we need to adjust some of those activities. Because I've gone into a piece of property in the past and you know, had him as a client for a couple of years, but the guy had logging crew come in, you know, ahead of having any kind of consult done, and they removed so much. There really wasn't much to do. There wasn't much management you could do other than, you know, rotate fire through there because it was a mountain hardwood stand. They cut it. You don't replant those. They come back naturally, you know, just natural regen. And his hands were tied.
Yeah.
After a couple of years of our help doing infrastructure install and doing some burning.
About lost that Dr. Pepper.
Doing some burning, we couldn't really help him with a whole lot more of groundwork. Now, you know, trying to help him make harvest type decisions, you know, plenty of room to help there. But unfortunately, these days we do a lot of damage control.
And with your site in particular, I was quite impressed with the species composition that has naturally regenerated there. A lot, especially since it was a historical surface mining operation.
Yeah, well, I was impressed, you know, as well because I don't know trees like y'all do. You're sitting here saying that's that, and I see pine oak, and you know you're seeing white oak, red oak, you know what, this kind of pine, that kind of pine. So like you know that's a big reason why I wanted y'all to come today. It was because I want to make the right decisions. Like I don't want someone to have to do damage control to decisions I made because I didn't put in the effort to get the right advice on something. So.
Yep.
All right, what about what you saw today, comparing that to other smaller properties? Now, you mentioned fire, stuff like that can be improved upon. What is a realistic expectation? You run a fire through something, what's a realistic expectation for you to see improvement on that landscape? Does that take place in a year? Does that take 5 years? Does that, like, how long is it going to take for you to see for harvest?
And Taylor's asking again, if you don't hear him, how long it's going to take to see results from fires. And really, I mean, you're going to have initial results that are immediate. I mean, turkeys, if they're close by, they're going to be in that burn area, you know, searching for invertebrates, insects, you know, the whole nine, whatever they're out there eating, they're going to be in those burned areas, really, really picking through them. And you're going to see a vegetative response within days if you've got the right weather. But the transition of the habitat types from having a pretty thick understory to opening those up, it's going to take 2 or 3 fires. So that could potentially take, you know, 5 to 7 or 8 years to really get to the end result where you want to be. I think Jim Shrinkle did a series of burns up in Skyline on the management area that he burned. Was it once every? He burned it once every 3, didn't he? Do you remember, Bray?
I think that's right.
Hardwood stand?
Yeah, a hardwood stand. I believe he burned once every 3 years and got 3 burns through it before he, you know, went and did other things. And you can still go up there today, and this is at least 15 years later, sans Jim even being up there, you can tell a distinct difference in those stands still today.
Right. Yep.
And it's been, I know it's been 10 to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, we sit here and we burn for a couple years straight. Is there ever a moment that like you cease fire, like you cease putting fire to it, or is this like?
Yeah.
Is there ever a moment that you cease putting fire to it?
I think that the only thing I would change would be the timing of your rotation. Mm-hmm. So initially what I typically do, rather than removing fire from a landscape, I'll just change the timing. So if we start with dormant season fire, we may come in, say, on the third rotation and do a growing season fire. So you're changing the plant response or the herbaceous community. Typically speaking, you get a little better control with your hardwood saplings and shrubby stuff if you burn sometime during the growing season, because they're actively growing. You knock them back during that active growth, you're going to get better control. You burn through a stand to try to get woody control in the dormant season, you're not really having that big of an impact. I prefer to start with dormant season fire and gradually shift into growing season fire over time.
Yeah.
Or at least add it to the rotation.
Okay, so there is a rotation to it. Like it's never like cease for 4 or 5 years and then start back later.
I mean,
I don't think with what you're working with.
Right.
No. But that was another reason we had discussed it out at the property on dividing it up into blocks. And then, well, not only is it easier to manage, but you're also providing just that much more diversity for the wildlife out there. And then you can, once you get a handle on it, you can stretch it out. And it's not the end of the world if you can't get to it this year.
From wildlife standpoint, you're not going to have much of a problem starting, stopping, missing a year here or there.
Right.
From a timber standpoint, there is, purposes for not burning at certain times. If you've got a place that's on a burn rotation, predominantly talking about pine here, and you thin a place, you don't really want to burn it in the same year because you're stacking stressors on those trees. And we talked about the pine beetles today.
Yeah.
You stack stressors on those trees and you're inviting problems with beetles. And you could have a serious mortality event. So I don't like stressing trees in more than one way in a single growing season
and
or
that
year.
also applies to the droughts and
Yeah,
stuff like
so
that. It's
you don't want stacked stressors.
I got you.
Yep.
So when it comes to thinning,
Good luck right now.
well, I'm just saying, like, does my property
So
Not now.
not now. So that was one thing that I was pretty impressed is you've got a pretty diverse stand composition as far as age is concerned.
Yep.
So when we start running fire through there on a regular interval, you're going to remove some of the unwanted or undesirable tree species in there.
And the younger ones.
And the younger ones. So what you're eventually going to end up with is a mixed stand of also mixed aged. So it's going to be mixed species composition, mixed age stand, and you're going to have hopefully a herbaceous understory. Herbaceous. Did I say herbaceous?
Did you just say herbaceous understory?
He did.
Yeah. That's kind of what's that called?
An oxymoron, which is what he called me
just a
today
moron.
for writing. He said that
It's just redundant.
when I was
It's
writing
redundant.
this morning.
Redundant.
Because you can't put that in writing. There's things you can say, you just
But
can't
you
put
can
in writing.
say it.
Either way, she's still salty about the fact that I scrubbed away all of her report this morning.
He deleted my entire article.
Yep.
Don't make us air out your dirty laundry either on here. You get the women folk on you. The 3 women folk listeners.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. We'll lose half our listeners immediately. At least 1/3.
You got any more questions back there?
I got one. Yeah. So you talked about running fire through there, and that's going to remove some species. It's going to introduce new ones potentially. What are some that you saw today that you'd like to keep around, whether that be trees or just other, stuff? Like I know we saw the greenbrier was absolutely smoked. They hammered it. So when you run a fire through there, are you potentially burning that stuff up, or are you gonna? Is that going to promote more of it?
Promoting more growth.
So
you're going to promote more of the vines, legumes, any vegetative structure along the forest floor, and you're going to be removing the stuff in the mid-story that is shading all that. And hopefully, like we saw, the browse pressure on the smilax. It was just unbelievable. So
I've never seen that much.
Really?
And it was across
Yeah.
the whole landscape.
Yeah.
It's like, usually you can find some places where, they haven't eaten this greenbrier, but not
There wasn't
there.
any.
No, there was not a greenbrier leaf below 4.5 feet.
Nope. I mean, those deer
To the
stand on
ground.
their hind legs picking it off the vine,
They're hungry.
They are
They are.
hungry.
Don't tell my neighbors. I know, I'm going to have a good conversation with you, but don't worry about feeding them. I'll handle that.
We'll get him situated.
Yeah.
But, to answer your question, as far as tree species goes, there were a lot of white oak. Saw a few post oak, southern red, northern red. Good fire-tolerant species. So those will be your hard mass producers. Didn't see a lot of soft mass production. Which we can fix that as well.
Yep.
We can add those around the edges of your food plots: persimmon, crabapple, plum. Any of the native
But
species.
surprisingly, to have as much disturbance as that property has had, being mined, the invasives just really weren't
they
there.
were not there. No, there was a few
I mean,
privet
a little bit of
hedge.
privet, and that's it.
But it was just pockets of privet.
That's right.
That was actually, I said that when we went to that first field. I said, I actually don't see any privet here. We did walk a few feet.
And there was
There
a
was
little
a little bit,
bit.
but
There
it
was
wasn't
a
bad.
little bit of
But
privet.
I had it fenced in.
You did.
That's right,
Yeah.
in the garden spot,
He's controlling
propagating,
it. Yeah.
propagating the privet. Mm-hmm. That's okay.
what about like Dylan for you? I mean, we've talked about trying to get your kids introduced to, having the dove field there and stuff like that. That's what ultimately kind of led to you guys picking up that property. But is there anything else from just a landowner's perspective that kind of stuck out to you that said, I think this is going to make sense for us, for what my family's wanting to do? Is there anything else? We saw the deep water,
Oh, yeah.
kind of, the blue hole and
Beautiful
stuff like
blue
that. So
hole.
is there anything else that maybe sticks out?
Yeah, so he just asked if that what was the buying points? Like, what did we see in the property that, made us want to purchase it in the long run? Well, I think one of the biggest things was the house place on it. Mm-hmm. Even though I was looking in that property as a hunting property, that just opened so many new doors to content creation, one, with my job. And it's like I said, it's unlimited, but I can incorporate my brother, family in it. So, he, if he has interest in doing content creation or, doing, making videos, whatever it may be, like, he can do that now with me, and I can, bring people along. So the house was one of the big ticket items, and of course, stepping on all the scrapes while I'm walking through it, like,
There's deer here.
I was a born deer hunter. That's what I do. Like, that's, now I'm learning to be a turkey hunter, which I'm enjoying.
Bless you.
Yeah.
No. Bless Shelby.
Yeah, bless Shelby.
Poor Shelby.
Poor Shelby. Poor Shelby. No, but yeah. But I mean, the property is just, like y'all were seeing it for the first time today. It was like there was just one thing after the other that made it unique. And the uniqueness of it, I was really drawn to that. The blue hole that we went up on today, that we probably got footage, y'all got footage of, so y'all be able to see that. I know it's weird, but the mine shaft that we call the bat cave.
The crab leg mine
that's cool.
shaft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got
crab legs in the bottom of that
there's
thing.
unlimited crab legs that come.
Locally sourced.
Yeah, don't come after my crab legs. You'll get the white-nosed bat syndrome.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a thing apparently. Yeah, I learned a lot today, but it has just cool features, and yeah, I guess that answers the question. The big yard. I was a big fan of the yard for entertaining guests and having kids' birthday parties. We have a lot of social media friends that when they visit, all I have now is one room up here that's available. Now I have, whenever we get it remodeled, I'll have a whole nother cabin that we can host people at. So that was, very exciting.
There's a lot of aspects about that property that would be good selling points for.
Oh, I told you while we were
Somebody
standing
that-
out there.
yeah, I mean,
an
it's-
easy place to sell.
Absolutely. And I didn't know exactly what we were getting into because, a lot of these old reclaimed mining properties are just riddled with invasive species.
Problems.
Yeah, there's just all kind of problems associated with them, but not here. You got a lot of features that were actually desirable.
A breath of fresh air.
Absolutely. I like site visits like the one today.
You probably, you probably were thinking going into this, oh, this dude, he done bought a lemon.
It crossed my mind.
Yep.
Well, I think we just go to so many site visits,
Yeah.
and I mean like established sites that have been owned by the same people for a long time. It's kind of like, oh, we've got a lot of work to do.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I think going into it as well, like, even though I don't know a ton about management and timber and all those that sort of things, I know enough to know, hey, it's clean. I can do something with this.
Yep.
Y'all definitely helped my outlook on it today with, oh, I actually did good by buying this. It kind of just, it made me feel good because I was like, okay, I didn't just totally suck at this whole process and buy something that's going to be hard to use and hard to fix. So that felt good today, honestly. But I feel like I knew enough. I've hunted enough to know, that it had that bedding area on top of the hill. Like I know that, it had that. It's got a couple places I can already give a little bit of a food source. So I think, my knowledge just from being a hunter helped.
Right.
Well, biologist, what would be kind of your, you said like the pitfalls, things to avoid when you're looking at buying a smaller acreage like that? What's maybe one word of warning you might throw out there for people? Like you're buying something that's small and.
Well, there's a handful of pitfalls to avoid when you're buying, and the two biggest ones are access and neighbors.
Yes.
That's your two biggest. You've got to research those.
Yep.
Then you've got to dig into the property. Is it something that you're going to be able to actively manage, or are you just going to play a passive role in that property? Are you just going to have to kind of plant your food plots and be a caretaker, or are you going to be able to do a lot with it? Then really I'm going to look at where folks that aren't, that are just hunting aren't going to pay as close attention to is, are you buying it in a viable timber market? Because a lot of the management we need to do or want to do, and most of the time need to do, revolves around making trees leave.
Yep.
And if you don't have a robust timber market, sometimes that can be a multi-year process. So I'm not saying avoid buying property in areas that don't have good timber markets, but understand that that's going to play a role in how you can transition your property into what it is now to something else, down the road.
And that's why a few minutes ago when you said something about thinning timber and I said good luck, thankfully you're not at a point in time where you're going to need to do that anytime soon. But if you were, timber markets are just not that great right here right now.
Yeah.
We're in we're in a period in time that it's not great. But look, if you go back and look at timber prices, especially pine, I mean, my entire career, you just see little peaks and valleys, and it's pretty static. Yeah, some people are going to catch those peaks, but some people are going to catch those valleys. But it's not been a huge difference. But now we have wide swings in our hardwood markets, and I think we're in one of those right now.
Yeah.
So
well, the Lord, if I have it my way, then I'll never have to cut other than whatever will help the timber continue to grow. I won't cut to make money off the property.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not what I'm into.
that's right.
Like, I'm a hunter, and that's what I want to do with it. And I know some people, that's their business. Like that's how they make their money, and that's how they want to treat their property. Not me, unless I'm in a position where that would have to happen one day, which that'd be for both me and my brother to decide.
That's about all that I've got. If y'all want anything else.
I agree with Jeremy on all that, on the access and the neighbors, because I was going to say, look at what's around you first. And then there, especially in Alabama, with a lot of people passing land from generation to generation, you will have a lot of really, really nice properties that have been held on to for years, and the family that originally had it was in good standing with their neighbors. People start to die off. People don't want to give you access. And, I mean, there is a law that states that all landlocked properties must have some sort of access. It doesn't
Alabama.
In Alabama. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be granted access to bring in logging trucks or to run utilities or anything like that. So when you're looking at properties, make sure, and just because the landowner says, oh no, we're in good standing, we don't have anything in writing with them, but he's always let us cross.
Doesn't have to.
He does, and he can change his mind whenever he wants to. So that's just something really important, that just because it has been going this way, you cannot count on that. And you need all that in writing.
And if they tell you, and what she just said was the key, is in writing. If they tell you you've got an easement, then make sure that's a recorded easement and what it grants you. Because some of them, they're going to be very limited in your scope of how you can
They need
use
to be specific.
So, I recommend always, if you're, buying a property, of course I'm a real estate agent, but use a real estate agent when you can, and vet those agents so that they understand what product you're buying. Somebody that specializes in residential that's your buddy and says, hey, I'll cut you a deal if you'll use me when you go buy a tract of land. They may not know the ins and outs of land. So that saving 1% or 1.5% may cost you more in the long run. So, I always recommend getting somebody that knows that product. And look, there's a lot of consultants out there, and I know Matt has done this before, and I have too. I did it before I was selling real estate, but consulting on purchases. So you've got customers that they call you up and say, hey, man, I'm interested in buying a tract, but I want you to look at it first. Folks that are buying likely their last purchase or their only purchase, I really recommend them getting somebody on the ground before you pull the trigger. Get you a robust due diligence period. 10, 15 days, 20 days, whatever it's going to take somebody to get out there and get a professional to go out there with you and look at it. Because you may have hopes and dreams of this particular property being able to do certain things. And, Matt may show up and say, no, man, I'm sorry, but that's not realistic here.
Not what you're looking for.
Move on. And that's what a good agent should tell you too. But sometimes, you may not know a good agent in that area or whatever, but, folks can consult you through that process as well.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that. I lucked out this time.
I have seen some crazy things happen. But look, some crazy stuff happens even when you're using an agent.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know,
Sure
it's
can.
especially in today's world.
Sell, just however. A
Yeah,
lot of people.
and with technology now, there are folks that are very, very good at getting information, and they can use that for fraudulent reasons. So I tell people to be really careful.
All right. Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap us up for today.
You got any other questions for us?
Yeah, Dylan, you
Oh,
got
man.
anything for us? He's thinking. That's scary.
What's your if you had to choose one condiment?
Oh my gosh.
Ranch.
Hold on.
Did she say ranch?
Ranch.
She said ranch.
Ranch.
If you had to choose one condiment that you would say is the most versatile, we'll use that verb. Is that a verb? Versatile? No. That's an adjective.
It's an adjective.
We'll use
yeah.
that adjective.
Yeah.
I'm not the grammar police,
He is, and
He
she
is.
is.
obviously. Which one would you say is the most versatile?
I really wish you hadn't put me in this position to have to choose.
Ranch.
She says ranch.
I'm going to probably say the most
Versatile.
versatile.
This ain't your favorite.
Gosh.
People mistake and,
Okay,
and think
okay,
that
yeah, so if-
mustard's
yeah,
my
let's-
favorite.
Okay,
I
so
love mustard.
the
Yeah.
most versatile that I could use across the board.
Yeah, I mean on the
Yes.
most things.
That's what versatile
Okay,
means.
Yes.
I'm saying, shut up. I'm saying ranch. I'm saying ranch because I can use it for so many different things.
Yeah.
I would say that ranch is the second.
I mean, I know you're first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious.
I don't agree
Yeah.
though.
I
I just don't.
I
See-
can handle like putting ranch on spaghetti and stuff.
Oh,
If
God.
I don't do it.
No, I mean,
I'm just saying.
I've put it on pizza.
I eat
Pizza?
ranch with pizza.
Someone's been tagging me in mustard on pizza. Apparently that's a
I don't
thing.
know about that.
I just feel like ranch has a wider
Have y'all ever put mustard on a
variety.
sausage
does.
biscuit?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't eat them any other way.
Well, see, I'm sorry, Dylan. I'm as anti-mustard.
Oh, you did it.
I am. I'm as anti-mustard as one can be. You can just kick me out. You know, I'm good. I
My
get
son
it.
just drinks mustard out the bottle.
Well, your son has some sense.
Yeah, I don't.
What's your answer?
I don't know if you can really classify it as a condiment, but I would probably say ranch, but I would go with honey.
Honey, that's a good
As the
one.
most versatile?
Honey does go on
Honey
everything.
what? Pairs with what?
Yeah.
Honey mustard.
Did he just throw me under the bus, dude? Oh, goodness. I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of pizza, if you'll do honey and pizza, it'll change your life. No, it's
Honey
crazy.
and pizza.
Sounds
I'm gonna
crazy.
have to try
It's
that,
a real
I
thing,
think.
though.
I'm
You
the-
can do
I'm
hot
I'm not
honey.
opposed
I'm
to
least
it.
picky person ever. So I'll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
everything sounds
eat.
good to
I
me.
remember
I
when
just like to
Burger
eat.
King, when I was little, they always carried honey.
Yeah.
And I would,
Yep.
and
Yep.
chicken fries.
Yeah.
Chicken
yeah.
fries and honey.
I don't use it this way, but I see a lot of people use barbecue sauce.
Yeah, barbecue
As-
sauce is a versatile
That's-
It-
that's a
It's
good
just
one.
use it on everything.
Absolutely.
The reason
I'm
why
not that
ranch
way either.
wins is because if you had to put it on a salad, not put mustard on a salad.
Salad,
That's true.
potato chips, pizza. I mean, you can dip your fries in it. Chicken. I mean, you name it.
You dip your fries in mustard. Mustard on my
No,
fries.
I don't do that.
Look,
Love a good
the
loud
fact
That's
is,
my husband
you
dips
can dip
his fries
anything
in straight mustard.
in anything if you want to.
I know it, but I'm
At
not.
least once.
I'm not.
At least try it.
I'm not dipping a fry in
Look,
mustard.
I'm sorry, but I got a mustard hill that I will be dying on,
Yeah.
and I've built that hill myself.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your favorite thing to put mustard on?
My
Bar
favorite,
none. Just favorite.
God, to put mustard on. I mean, I don't eat a sandwich, a regular like ham, turkey, whatever sandwich without mustard. Like
Okay.
it's gonna be on it. Sausage, any biscuit really, but especially sausage or just sausage in general, like Kaneka or something. Dip it in
Okay.
mustard.
See, I was curious if you would go that route. I see a lot of people dip Kaneka sausage in mustard.
Yes.
Some of my buddies.
My husband is he dips everything in mustard.
Okay, so
In the
pigs in a
stone
blanket.
ground.
Oh,
Yeah.
See, I don't even
yes.
like pigs in a blanket.
What?
What?
I don't eat them. Nope.
Do you
What's
remember?
wrong with
you
you?
remember those
I don't
old
like 'em.
old sister
Sister Schubert
Schubert
rolls.
rolls
Yes,
that they did
yes,
away with?
Yes.
I
I'm
don't.
still mad about it.
I am
Oh
too.
my goodness!
No.
I
You
used
get
to,
the middle one that's like, oh,
Y'all can have it.
I'm
I
an
used
only
to get
child,
the
and I still get the middle one.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't in the Sister Schubert ones
No,
because they
not
don't
anymore.
exist.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Unfortunately,
I like their little cinnamon rolls that they had too.
they still
are
got
good.
those. I think
They do.
They
They
do.
do. I'm just trying not to be fat, and so I don't eat them.
They had those like
Yeah,
sausage
it's hard.
pinwheels that they tried to make up
Yeah.
for doing
They
away.
are not even close.
trash.
Yes.
Sister Schubert, bring back.
Bring if this
Yeah.
reaches anybody, please let it be Sister Schubert.
Yeah.
Please bring back the
Yeah,
pigs in
they-
a blanket.
And that was
breakfast.
one thing, Tay Tay. Oh,
Oh.
I did it. Yeah.
It wasn't.
I did it. Shots fired. I'm
What?
sorry, Tay Tay.
He gets his
Oh,
feelings
he-
hurt.
He don't like it.
You're not, but you're.
No, it was really between me and him.
Yeah.
Like the whole
Yeah.
Alabama deer
I
legend.
and I told him today I'm trying not to do it, but I've got a tailor in my office, one of our real estate agents, and I call him Tay Tay, and it bleeds off onto him.
Yeah.
It just does.
I've made a conscious effort to stop because I cannot stand being called the AL deer legend. So, what'd he say?
AL deer legend.
I said he has made a conscious effort to stop. I said, except he don't.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've tried.
Well, I get called the mustard man or the mustard guy everywhere I go.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like, it's not my favorite nickname because we like hardly even post mustard content, but
Yeah.
like we do throw one in there every once in a while, and people want to see it,
Oh yeah.
and I still love it. But
Yeah.
Do you marinate stuff, like rub it on stuff? And
Now,
let
I
it
do
slide?
marinate stuff in mustard.
mustard, I hear is like the best.
It's a good binder.
Binder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't really do.
So, like, I
I've
batter
never
fish.
smoked anything.
Okay.
I batter
So-
fish in mustard and milk, or mustard and
I
buttermilk.
love fish.
I see. I noticed. What's his name? Austin. The other day, marinated
Oh,
those
yeah, yeah,
crappie
30
in
minutes
the
ago, we were
mustard.
talking about
He used
mustard.
it as a binder. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing we got to do before we clear out of here,
Shout-outs?
is our shout outs. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, normally we do that first, but
Who do we shout out?
whoever you
Whoever.
want, it don't matter.
Start us off.
Oh no! Come
Give
back.
a
Come back.
random
to me.
shout out. Don't come to me.
Oh, and nobody wants to shout out to anybody?
I do.
Who
Go
do you-
ahead.
Who do you?
I'm going to shout out to 2 or 3 different fellas.
Oh, dear. Here we
Okay.
go.
Well,
We're going to be
look,
here a while.
no, look, these are folks that started listening, use us as consultants and or real estate agents. So I got Brennan Oliver, going to give him a shout out. Nathan Aldridge, and then golly, what's other dude's last name? I use his last name and only last name, Mr. Israel. So shout out to those guys that have reached out to us, doing a fair amount of work for them right now. So
That's
we
good.
appreciate listeners turning into customers.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
I got my shout outs. All right. First of all these guys, for real, thank y'all very much for coming today. I had a blast. I mean, one of the most fun days I've had in a while. I love walking property, even if we're not even talking about it. If we're just walking around the woods and shooting the bull like we did today, a lot of the day, I sure did enjoy it. My buddies at Pursuit Outdoors, Trent Ellis, thank y'all. Monarch Deer Blinds. If you hadn't seen the Monarch Deer Blinds, they are amazing. You got to sit in one. They're Corey at Monarch. Just want to shout out my buddies. That's who I went to Texas with
Gotcha.
a couple weeks ago. But
Maybe you can get Matt on those things.
oh yeah, dude, those
He needs to step up his blind game a little bit.
oh, Monarch is some count, dude.
I have to check into it.
Yes. Are y'all going to the deer show this year?
I
Which
don't
one?
know which one.
The
There's
one
so
in
many.
Birmingham. Y'all got to go to the deer show.
I'll be there, but I don't know that we'll have a booth there.
I did say that.
Monarch Blinds.
My random shout out. Well, so since I wasn't here for the last filming because I was on another fire jump, again. I'm going to shout out again the Forestry Commission, all of the help that we wrangle in.
Oh yeah.
But thankfully, they didn't have to show up for the last jump.
The last jump, the Forestry Commission did not. I had some fantastic help that I brought along that day. Chris Cook.
Shout out to Chris Cook.
Shout out to Chris Cook. I told him that we were done. I sent him home. I went to tell the actual property manager that I was leaving, and he was like, by the way, there's some bonus acreage happening. So
Happening.
happening
At the moment. Yeah, at the moment.
So
Makes you feel good.
Jay and I spent a little while roping that in.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that he was there. He was a big help. Everybody that has jumped in and taken on this absolutely insane burn season. And shout out also to my husband and my son, because my husband is having to play Mr. Mom a lot right now.
Yeah, I think we see you as much as he does right now.
Yeah.
There was, an 11-day period?
11 days.
Yeah, that was, so
Pretty
thank you.
hectic.
Thank you, Zach, for holding down the fort while I set things on fire.
I think that goes without saying with all of our spouses.
Spouses in general need a shout out.
Yeah, we
love you, Karen.
We live a hectic lifestyle doing what we do
This time of year.
Yes, because you may wake up and you had plans to go to Mississippi and the weather be wrong and you turn around and go to Georgia. It's very, very hectic.
Yep. Yep.
So it takes a lot to stand by our side.
For sure.
Yeah.
I said one of my buddies' channel's name's wrong. Can you re-edit that?
You can just say it.
Okay. Yeah. I called it Pursuit Outdoors. It's Prestige Outdoors.
Prestige.
But,
Okay.
Prestige.
Shout out to my buddies at Prestige Outdoors.
Taylor can just go in there on that other and just go, damn.
Yeah.
Prestige.
Yeah.
Prestige.
I shouted out
It's
Brittany
huge.
last episode with my shirt.
That's right.
It's huge. It was a
Yeah.
big deal. It's you say somebody's name wrong, it's just not good.
And by the time this episode comes out, I will have been moved back up to Northeast
Absolutely.
Alabama.
That's fantastic.
So
That's
it has
fantastic.
been a long process.
Yeah.
But we are happy to be going back home. So all of our Northeast.
Getting out of Bammertown.
Getting out of Tuscaloosa. Yeah. War Eagle. Going home.
It's hard to listen to that, isn't it?
It must really suck to grow up a loser. I'm playing.
So
See, when we were when I was growing up,
The five finger.
Alabama was going through the Mike years, so
Yeah.
we thought the
We
same
made
thing.
it through. We made it
my
Y'all
whole
did.
family was Alabama, and I was just a very spiteful child.
through. Oh,
So
Still
I
are.
we're one of
Still
those.
are.
Still
Yep.
am.
Hey,
yes.
look, I kind of am too. I mean, my uncle is in the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, was one of the original Roll Tide guys with the box of Tide washing powders and a roll of paper. I've seen some fun stuff at Alabama ball games, but we not going to be an Alabama fan.
Did you ever see Roll Tide Willie?
Oh,
Yes.
He was setting fires not long
Barefoot.
ago.
I
saw
know.
that.
We
I
should
saw him
hire
setting
him.
fires.
Yeah.
We need to
Barefoot.
hire him.
Do we?
I don't give a piss about nothing but the tide.
Yep.
Blitz, Bama, blitz.
Who was the personality influencer fella that caught his truck on fire?
Oh, up in
Who was it?
Bowman.
Bomar.
Oh,
Josh,
that's right.
Josh Bomar.
Yeah.
Good Lord. So I probably shouldn't have rolled my eyes at that too hard, but
I will.
Why are we talking about that?
Oh, I mean, it just popped in my head because we were talking about that. I was like, yeah, that dude burned his truck down.
He did. I've seen the video.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to give a shout out, and then we're going to wrap this up. I want to shout out to Taylor. This one right here.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Hey,
Whoa.
Taylor got a shout out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Taylor,
Yeah.
what does it feel like to be on the other side now?
Less
Getting some
stressful.
accolades.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, look at all the stuff.
You
that
take a paycheck, wouldn't you?
I would. What's up, Dylan?
He was running around setting all of this.
I mean,
up.
yeah. I mean, look, we've got this great production here. I
Y'all
mean,
just leave it here.
he's behind the scenes.
Hey,
working
I
on
will
this
leave
stuff
it here
all
if I'm
the
doing a podcast for you.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to turn around and film that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, we're thankful that he's got all this cool stuff.
time. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he makes it happen.
It sounds like we're gonna have to buy some more cool stuff though.
Yep.
We're growing, y'all. Yeah, shout out to the people who have been like, we've had an influx and growth here in the last few weeks.
Yeah, like 5 more listeners.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
It's been more like 500
Yeah,
or more.
it's gone up.
So thank you guys.
Yeah,
but
thank you.
that's all because of Taylor getting our content out there. We do appreciate
He
it.
Yeah.
works really hard.
Yep.
Yep. And if you, hey, let's just do the full shout out to Taylor and Broadside Marketing. Hey,
There
look,
you go.
dude does all of my real estate marketing and lots of other folks. So if you're looking for somebody to put together really good video and golly, I guess social stuff would. I don't understand it all, but
Apparel.
social stuff
Yeah.
and apparel.
He can do it.
Yeah, reach out to Taylor.
Yep.
Yeah,
Not Tay-Tay.
yeah. At Go Broadside.
That's right. GoBroadside.com.
And
That's
thank
it.
you, Dylan, for having us.
Yeah.
No,
and-
thank y'all for having me.
Yeah,
Oh.
going back to what you said a few minutes ago, I think that initially we all just kind of hit it off with some common ground and that camaraderie there. So we appreciate, having
we
the
had fun.
opportunity to meet with you as well.
Man.
We've enjoyed
And
it.
Shelby.
Yeah,
well,
Shelby,
she's
poor
the
Shelby.
she's the looks of everything. So, yeah, I love this job because I get to meet people all the time and I get to make friendships. And there's been a few work relationships made out of it, but most of the time I'm able to make friendships. And I feel like today we were able to make some good friendships. And that's what I look for in any kind of relationship.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, listen, we appreciate y'all listening. If you haven't already, like our stuff, share our stuff. I don't know the spiel that Taylor goes through every time he does this, but
Like, share, and subscribe.
yeah, like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Thank you. Check out Dylan's content. What
What's
are
your
we,
new
Dylan and
channel?
Shelby? What's going on?
Give us all
I
of
mean,
it.
there's so
Yeah.
many. There's so many. Hopefully, we're on your For You page. But
Yeah.
if you can't find us there, we're at Shelbendale on TikTok, Reese on Instagram, Dylan K. Reese on Instagram, Dylan Reese on YouTube, Shelbendale on YouTube. You'll
Find
just
them.
look up my name.
Find them.
Yeah.
Just look up we're on Facebook. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
Goals, people, goals. One day we want to be everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Well, until next time, we appreciate it, and peace out.
Signing off. Out.